Reef Wanglers. I'm Big John.
And I'm John Bondi, and today we got one of the local fishing legends, Dennis Gignac.
He's also the president of Bondi Bait and Tackle, eh?
He's wanting to be. But Dennis is here a lot. A lot of guys know him because he taught high school for 35 years. He's a local coach. Everybody knows this guy, but he's also an excellent fisherman. So today we got this idea of just going through the years of some of the weird happenings we've seen on the river, either things we've caught or things we've seen go by or weather events or something like that. We thought it'd make a great video. So,
but first today, guys, let's talk a little bit about the open house here on March the 9th.
Yeah, a couple of months ago we announced we're going to have an open house here.
Let's see.
We're going to open up there. Yeah, we're going to open up the back. We're going to have some tables back there. We're going to have some factory reps here and a bunch of local anglers, and we're going to just tell people a lot about fishing around here and teach them some local techniques. And everybody's welcome March the 9th. You can expect to hear about trolling and all kinds of stuff. We're going to have a lot of good information for everybody, and it's going to be a good time. March the 9th.
I even heard rumors that there might be like a tilt-a-whirl, maybe a gravitron, and like a Ferris wheel set up in the parking lot.
Cotton candy machine.
Yeah.
Pirate ship.
But hey, maybe if there is somebody out there with a food truck, that might be something to have outside, eh?
Elephant ears.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that at Gibraltar.
Gibraltar Trade Center. The gun. You go to the gun and knife show.
Yeah.
Get a big old elephant ear and a $10 skateboard there. Remember Gibraltar Trade Center? Yeah. Man. Anyways,
Dennis, what do you think about the March 9th there?
It'd be a great way to kick off the season. Get guys talking about fishing because, you know, first part of April, late part of March, guys are on the river, and it's, you know, hotter than heck, and you have the latest techniques, latest ideas.
Gonna have some cool lure builders here, and like say pros talking about techniques and how to use the products. And
gonna have some pros from offshore tackle here talking about how to use the boards and all kinds of stuff. We're gonna see the new Bondi colors that we've been making here.
What's that one called? Salt Mine?
Salt Mine Shiner. Yeah. And we got all kinds of stuff happening here. March the 9th, we're open here Monday to Saturday, 8 to 4:30. Come on down and talk fishing. But Dennis, what's one of the weird things you can remember that has happened to you on the river?
Well, I don't know how weird it is, but there's sure a lot of people moving back and forth across that river at different times. And I'll tell you, if you get out there early in the morning, sometimes you see things maybe you shouldn't have seen. People that are crossing at different times in different places, coming from different areas out there that might not have been too on the up and up. I've seen that a number of times out there, and I really don't know what was going on, but I know it didn't look too legal to me.
Especially back in the day, like I remember back in the 90s hand lining at night there, and you know, it was just like you see things and things start going through your mind, and
lights in the sky.
Yeah, lights in the sky.
No UFOs. These are real people.
Well, one time this is a true story, and I called the police and they came. But one time I was fishing on the backside of Peach Island, and I was out there by myself, and I saw this small little runabout come from the States, and they were kind of right on the border, and these guys literally had like hazmat suits on, and they had something that they were putting in the water like this, like they were taking it from here, they were putting it in the water, and they let it sink to the bottom, and they did that multiple times, and I'm assuming it was some kind of evidence or something. They were putting something in the water. When they got done, they took these suits off, put them in a garbage bag, and ran to the shore. Now, I thought this, as anybody would, was highly suspicious, so I called the police come out, and I'm like, here's the deal. And they asked a few questions, and that was it. But something.
What do they say? Snitches get stitches.
Rats get bats. I'm telling you, whatever it was not on the up and up. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we see some cool things happening out there, guys, and then there's other times that we see things that it's kind of like not so cool. I know a couple years ago. And I've always heard it over the years of fishermen being out on Detroit River and finding people floating, and it happened to me a couple years ago, and I don't really talk about it much, and I don't even know the guy's name. I stuck with him, 10 feet from him. He was straight up and down in the water, and I called the police, and he drifted probably from the time I called the police to the time they got there was about 40 minutes, and he drifted from the salt mine almost to Great Lakes Steel in that amount of time, and it was kind of, you think a lot of things go through your mind when you see that. Like, you start thinking what happened, and anyways, I never did, and the police couldn't tell me who it was. All they told me is the family was thankful that you stuck with them till they reached them, and that was it. So
they're looking for closure. They don't want,
so, and I never would post that video or anything. It was just, it was a weird feeling, It was a time when you're seeing something that you've heard about for years, and you never thought that you would actually come across that, and then finally you come across it, and then it's like, well, what do I do?
Hey, just to change the topic, you ever been pulled over by the local constabulary? Any of the police ever pull you over, or?
Oh yeah. And for the most part, they're just doing their job. They're on the water, and they want to make sure that you're legal. They want to make sure that you have your.
Happy to see guys get pulled over.
Yeah.
I've been pulled over numerous times, and it's kind of funny. One of the last times I got pulled over, it was by a kid that I used to teach at St. Anne's.
I knew you were going to say that. He gets out of all these troubles. He gets out of everything.
We were
everything.
We were just fishing right near Beach Island.
Mr. Geniac, yeah. And then he knows, once he hears Mr. Geniac, he knows he's in the clear, no matter what it is.
And the funny thing is, the other guy I was on the boat with, he taught the other police officer. So we knew them both, and we drifted probably for a couple 100 yards.
And there were no tickets issued.
Yakking it up and having a good time, and everyone must have thought we were some kind of a criminal. But anyways, we just knew these guys, and they were doing a great job out there.
And
Windsor Police.
And as being like in international waters, there's actually a lot to know, guys, when you're fishing both sides of the river. So make sure you have both licenses, and over on the U.S. side, there's a size restriction on the walleye too. It's 15 inches, so that's something to keep in mind. You're only allowed so many rods on each side of the river, so you got to keep those things all in mind.
But anything less than 15-inch walleyes, you don't want to keep anything that small. What good is it? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, a lot of guys call those bread and butters, but anyways, guys, we started out on some sad stories and some things like that, but you've got some cool things on the river over the years.
When I was a kid, man, we used to make grappling hooks. You ever do that and get a long rope?
Oh yeah, go down to Alexandra Park and try and catch everybody's fishing rod.
Yeah, nowadays they use magnets, but we used to make, I don't know if I thought I was like Spider-Man or something, but we would take these grappling hooks
drags,
and we would chuck them out everywhere in the river, and we would pull, and there was nothing better than feeling some tension on there, One day, me and my buddy Matt, we were pulling off right in LaSalle, pulling up. We pulled up a bike, but then later on we threw it out there, and it was something tough, and it took two of us to pull it in, and it was one of them old full swing sets with a slide. You know, the ones that you'd have to cement in the ground because they would tip back. It was one of them things, and there were crayfish pouring out every hole on that thing.
Did you have to call your dad and say, bring the pickup truck, we got to bring a swing and a bike home?
We set it up on the shore.
I got one cool story while we're on the topic of catching treasures on the river. So a couple years back, I was on the Detroit River, and I was hand lining, and actually got a little bit of footage from it, so I'll try and throw it up here into the video. But I was hand lining, and at first I thought, oh, maybe it's fish. And then as soon as I start pulling off bottom, it was just dead weight. So it's kind of like, okay, what do I got? And yeah, it was a fishing rod, and it was a fresh fishing rod. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. So I put it in one of my Big John videos and said, you know, if anybody lost a rod or anything, you know, I would return it. And no word of a lie, 3 days later, Dom Giannotti from Damo's Custom Tackle called me and said,
right,
yeah, you know, I swear to God, he said, John,
Damo just probably posted it on the internet and sold it the next day.
no, he said, John, it's my buddy from Toronto. They were down on the weekend and lost their, and he named the make of the reel and everything. And so anyways, long story shorter, I should say, they came, the next time they came down from Toronto, they got their rod back. So that's a good story. That had a happy ending.
You know what? I'm going to pay it forward with you. Just because you did such a nice thing like that, I got something for you.
Uh-oh.
I got something that a customer brought in for Big John.
No way, flying lure.
There you
That's
go.
like a Christmas gift. Thank you so
bet.
much. Oh my God.
That just made your day.
I've been looking for one of these. Guys, you guys all remember the flying lure. That was one of the most expensive infomercials in the world. And it was on every day.
Thank you to the husband and wife that brought that in.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's
made his
awesome.
day.
That really made my day. I'm going to use it, and I'm going to catch a fish
You're not going to need to buy
on
any
it.
more tackle
You're
this
gonna
year.
make
You're just gonna be
a
using that.
video using that thing.
That's great, man. That is great. I love it, guys. Look at that. Look at that. Flying lure.
You know what? Talk about catching things
Thank
off
you
the-
very much, whoever got that for me. I really appreciate it, man. It brings back memories of when I was a kid, and I begged my dad for like a month to order this thing for me, and he did. I remember back then, like, it wasn't next day delivery. Like, it took like 30 days for it to come in. But man, I love that lure, and caught a lot of fish on the lure. So, but anyways, thank you so much, and yeah,
I was gonna say, you know,
that's a cool story.
I've caught a lot more things off the bottom once I started musky jigging, because you're using stout rods and you're using 80-pound braid, and a lot of that stuff that you would break off, I can now lift up. You know what I mean? And one of the craziest things that we caught was, you know, when I snagged the bottom with the 80-pound braid in the musky jig, if it don't come, then we wrap the line around the cleat and try to break it. But at that point, if you're around the cleat and you start drifting still and it's moving, well, you lifted something off the bottom and it's heavy, so you gotta try and get it to the top, because now you're not snagged. Now you're drifting with whatever you've got.
Probably the worst is an anchor.
I've caught probably a dozen anchors.
And they're hard to pull up, guys.
Well, you hook the rope.
Yeah.
I pulled up a 9.9 one day.
Oh, nice.
Pulled up a 9.9 right next to Peach Island.
Did you get it running?
Well, in all honesty, I got it up as far as I could, and had I been able to pull it up, I would have destroyed all the top of my gel coat on my glass boat. I just was not strong enough to flip it over the gel coat by lifting it.
So you lost it again.
So I put it back right where it was, right
That's
next
awesome.
to Peach Island, but it was like,
Anybody missing a
believe it.
9.9? He almost had it for you.
almost had it. I would have ruined my boat, so I decided better against it.
One time we were jigging in the river, and like I say, we hooked something heavy and it started to move. So I started lifting it, lifting. You won't believe this. It was one of them receivers for the ping, catching the pings off the fish.
Oh.
It was brand new, not a mark on it, and it was about this big, and it was one of the government's transponders or whatever, and we lifted it off the bottom.
Wow.
And drifted about 100 yards before we could get it off and get it back down there. I don't know if they ever refound it, but I probably screwed up the entire government study of fish movements, because we moved this thing. We moved this thing out. They probably lost it because it got moved 100 yards. You know what I mean? But they had a long piece of rope off it, and I think they must drag for the piece of rope to catch it.
That's amazing. Talk a little bit about some of the, like, that's pretty cool what you got over there, John, and you caught that.
Yeah, one day we were fishing at the tip of Fighting Island.
Okay,
and,
so this is good, guys, because as he's showing us stuff here, he's giving you all his hot spots.
I was fishing in the river.
No, tip of Fighting Island, perfect.
And we caught this lantern off the bottom. Big John will take a picture of it, but it's about 120 years old. I looked it up online. It's called a Little Wizard. It was made in Syracuse, New York, and it's a kerosene lantern.
That's amazing.
And to me, if you were out there 120 years ago at night, you were probably up to no good.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, maybe that's like the rum running days, or yeah, there's lots of weird stuff that went on back then.
We've got cell phones, license plates, all kinds of big giant sailboat rudder in front of Lakeview Marina. Somebody couldn't get in, I guess. A huge. I had a customer get this big patio umbrella, jigging for muskie. They hooked a patio umbrella and it was coming in upside down, opened up, and it was pulling them all over. Said they thought they had the world record muskie on. It was this big umbrella.
And of course, we've seen a lot of stuff on the river too, guys, and you know, seen some funny stuff. There's one time I saw you know, my buddy Chris there. I saw him get attacked by a swan. That was pretty cool. Actually, I'll put the footage up for you, but yeah, it's pretty wild. Chris,
those swans are mean.
Chris was swimming with his dog. He was out there swimming with his dog in the water, and this swan came right over, left the dog alone, but targeted Chris. Hey, and it was pretty funny. So I'll throw that clip up there.
Get out of here!
What about you guys? You guys have anything?
You know what's funny is when people leave their trolling motors down when they go to take off.
Oh.
I remember seeing this brand new nitro one time over by Mud Island, and the guy, I told my customers, I said, look at, they're sitting down, and the trolling motor was still down, and he took off full throttle, and I'll never forget that trolling motor slamming the bow of that thing and the fiberglass, just hitting it hard, and he stopped. And then he hung over the nose looking underneath, but I don't even want to know the damage that thing did to that fiberglass.
Hey, how many times is your trolling motor ejected off the front of your boat going down the Detroit River? Like
back when the mounts were bad.
Yeah. Actually, you know what, man? My Minn Kota mount, I got the Ultrex, is solid.
They're much better now.
Yeah.
About 20 years ago, Jimmy Lucas and I, we were in a tournament. We were going down in the Detroit River, and in one of my aluminum boats, and we hit a wave, and my trolling motor just basically got ejected right off the boat. It held on enough so I could pull it back in and whatnot, but you know, I see guys all the time. They must be loaded because they got that trolling motor down and they got it goose, and they're going back to get those walleye as fast as they can. And
big mistake.
And the trolling motor, it's bending like this, and you got to wonder, they probably can't even pick the thing up anymore.
That's when it happens during the jigging season. You see it all the time, and you're right. People get impatient, like they figure, okay, we're just going to go up for another drift, and sometimes your drifts are maybe a quarter of a mile, I would say, and you think, okay, that's not so far. I'll just keep the motor down and go slow. But then you see them getting impatient. You see the bow come up more, and then you're right, Dennis. You see that head of the trolling motor flopping, and you think about, wow, that's doing damage to the shaft. All all the seals where it meets the head.
I think the rule of thumb when you're doing that, you can run a little bit with your trolling motor down, but my rule is I do not go any faster than what that trolling motor would do on high.
Yeah.
If my trolling motor takes me
that's a good model to go by.
3 miles an hour, that's as fast as I'm going to motor in the river or in the lake. You know, we probably all lost rods over the side and whatnot, and over the years, and this being in January, I think people at this time should start taking stock of their equipment that they're going to be using for the upcoming year. What I like to do is I like to take all my jigging rods that I'm going to be using for this season. I'll lay them out, and I'll go through each one, and I'll check my rods and reels, and then I'll determine if I have to make an upgrade. Like I'm going to make an upgrade here. John's got all these great Lew's reels in here, and I just can't stand looking at them without having one.
Yeah, he really does. He got them all lined up like soldiers on the counter here.
Everybody
and,
wanted to bring in Lew's products, so
There
they're
you go.
smooth as you could get.
This is the perfect time, eh, John? To
It-
go
it
through
is,
your
Dennis.
gear and
You're right,
take a look and see what.
And you don't have to get carried away about it. Like what I was doing last year, like the way I look at it is the winter time, I'm not paying for gas for the boat. It's all good. But what I try to do, I try to come in, every week and buy a couple crankbaits, couple trolling lures,
This is the
and
time to get them.
that way if you buy a couple, it gets you out of the house, it gives you something to get you thinking about fishing. You're not breaking the bank, and you're building your collection slowly. It's
The thing
not
about
one lump sum.
buying this time of the year is that the products are available.
Speaking of that, you know what I saw one time? I was fishing in the river, and I looked down, and there was a butterball turkey
Wow.
floating past me, still in the wrapper, just bobbing. It was barely, it was barely.
Another Bondy story.
No, it
Bring
was
it
a
home,
butter.
bring it home and cook it
No,
up.
Butterball.
I'm sure it was a result of a domestic dispute of why that thing was in the water.
All
Yeah,
right.
it was still in the
Anyways.
wrapper. It was still in the wrapper, just
That's
bobbing.
a bit of a story, John.
No.
Yeah.
Butterball.
You know,
But anyways, guys, we love yous. We appreciate, guys. We're I think we're at 929 subscribers.
after today, we're gonna lose a few.
Lose a few today.
No, we're trying to get to that 1,000. We're having a lot of fun with this, guys. It's not something that we do all the time, but when we get a chance in our busy lives, we do come down here. We get in here before the shop opens, and we put together a little video for you. And yeah, like special thanks to Dennis for pulling through. He's one of the guys I've wanted on this show since we started, because Dennis is just a genuine person, and he helps John out in his everyday life down here, and you're a big part, and I'm sure John's very thankful
Thanks,
for
John.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you ever have the police approach you, tell them you know Dennis. You'll get off.
Maybe Dennis, you know what? Maybe Dennis is going to do all the research on these fish finders. Maybe we could get him to run the course next year.
You know what I think? We all need a
Organize-
card. We
organize.
all need a card. So when you hand your driver's license to the officer, it says, "I know Dennis," and the guy goes, "Oh,
There we go.
carry on."
Yeah,
It's good to have taught 100 police officers.
Yeah. Cheers. Love yous all. Be positive, and
God bless.
God bless. We're out.